What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I'm kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled and even more so, I'm appreciative. Thank you so much. For reals, man. I couldn't do it without you. So, I got asked a question in the live the other day. And I thought I should touch on it, man. And I've talked about these guys in the past, but the question was a good one. I can't deny it. He said, man, why are the Bulldogs so hated? Why are they so hated on? Why are they so, if they're not a threat, if they're not a big threat, why does anyone hate them? Why would anyone care? Why would big groups like Norteños and Southsiders even trip off the Dogs? And the truth of the matter is, there's two reasons that I've come up with, right? Why? Not that they're hated on. I don't believe so that they're hated on. And I don't even think that they're hated. Hate's a strong word. I don't think they're liked. Okay? And that's the Fresno Bulldogs. And the reason is, see, with the North, it's cut and dry. With the Norteños, it's cut and dry. And Southsiders too. See, when I first went to the Youth Authority back in the days, Bulldogs were Norteños. There was no difference. That was just a gang within the fold. Okay, that's like San Jose. Guys say they're San Jose Sharks or Salineros or, Merced Dead End or whatever little hoods or little cliques you're from. They were all part of a bigger cause, which was the northern raza, the Norteños. And so when the Bulldogs pulled away, okay, that was a big slap in the face to the North, but not only, even more so than that, it was a big loss. There was a lot of people that couldn't get over that loss. And believe me, there was a lot of guerra. There was a lot of war, man. It was immediate war, too. It was from 0 to 100. It was from embracement, love, respect, busting spreads together, kicking it, to straight up hatred overnight. This was something that happened gradually in the pen and something that happened gradually. And like I said, it was crazy because every different yard, every different institution was different. I'd get to one place and Bulldogs were still kicking it with the homies. I'm like, hey, bro, you guys haven't heard or what? Over there, we're throwing motherfuckers through windows and we're hitting people with boards and hitting them with, pieces, doing pegadas and all kinds of crazy shit. They're like, Charlie, Holmes, we haven't got that wheela. So not everybody was on the same page. Eventually, time does figure everything out, and it did catch up. So when it comes to the Norteños, why are Bulldogs most hated by them? It isn't because they feel that the Bulldogs pose the most threat. It's that they're of an understanding that the Bulldogs are a vicious group. They're dangerous, and I don't care how many internet warriors bumping baking soda breath on the doors talk about the Bulldogs are on an island and they don't do anything and they're not about nothing and they're segregated in prison. One thing is for sure, two things are for certain. The Bulldogs they're still around because they've always carried their own and did their thing. Okay? I think when it comes to why people don't like them so much, is two reasons. One, for that initial reason that the Bulldogs are doing their own thing. And for the second reason is because they're doing their own thing. A lot of people envy that they're able to not have shot callers, that they're able to basically be able to run their own program without being dictated by another man. Renegade type stuff. They're able to call their own shots, call their own cuetes, walk the yard or do their thing in prison how they see fit. Majority rules, kind of rule together rather than just one or two men or a hierarchy or a COC or people with status telling them exactly how that yard's going to roll. And there's a lot of people that are envious of that. They won't say it. No one's going to say it. So I'll say it for them. There's a lot of homies that envy the Dogs. There's a lot of people that will talk shit because they're mad and upset about that. But at the same time, turn around and be like, damn, bro, I wish I didn't have to listen to someone else. I wish that we could do our own thing. But that's never going to happen. The Bulldogs seen the recipe and they did that. Not without a lot of fucking bullshit. They went through a lot. That group went through a lot. They continue to go through a lot. The other day, man, what was it, a couple months ago when people dropped that video of the Bulldogs getting rushed by the integrated yard, or they were trying to integrate them, and the North and South came together and got off on them, right? Again, the Bulldogs stay going through the motions, but they stay going to them yards. See, I've seen videos where people like they refuse to get off the bus. Them guys refuse, chronos and refuse to go to the yards. But as you've seen by that video right there, they went to the yard. They presented themselves. They went where they were told. And, whether you win or lose in a fight, the fact is, the main thing is the pull-up, man. The W and the L ain't shit. It's the pull-up. Just like a boxer, are you willing to get in that ring and throw them things? Whether you win or lose, is Jaime Munguia a punk because Canelo dropped him? No. Because who would go in there with Canelo? Not a lot of people, right? That's like, people always are focused on who the winner is, but the loser is just as powerful in voice as the winner because he showed up. He presented himself. Win, lose, or draw, homie. That's the name of the game. You're not going to win them all. And the Bulldogs do that. Now, albeit they have been segregated for years. So it seems like it makes their prison time a little bit more easier. And that's the truth of the matter. Whether they like it or not, and it's my respects to the Perros. I've never disrespected the Bulldogs, and I'm not going to start now. Because when I think Bulldogs, I think back 91, 92 when they were homies. Okay, that's what I flash back to. All this new shit, this NK, SK, this going at it, this beef, this younger generation that I see, I understand why they do that. And I understand how they're aggressive with it. Bulldogs will fucking get on your nerves when you're in prison with them. Just barking and constant, I used to do whole time when the Bulldogs did break off from the Norte, I'd be in the hole saying Preston or Carl Holton or even Nellis, man. And they'd be barking and barking and barking. And that was their way to aggravate their adversaries. But also that was a form of communication for them. That was a way to let other dogs know that they were there. They were in the presence of other dogs. Even back then, they were segregating dogs away from the Norte. That's because the administration knew that they posed a threat. These guys were vicious, man. They were stone cold killers. The ones I was around from a young age to an older age, I had nothing bad to say about Fresno. I knew that they posed a threat. And that's the thing. If they're not hated on, if everyone thinks, they're suckers and they ain't about that, then why care? Why are we constantly hearing people trying to bring them back within the fold or people getting off on them immediately? If someone is not a threat, okay, then why do you get off on them? That's the trippy part about it. Okay, you hear about these integrations. They're integrating people, right? And everyone's focused on the gangs. Everyone's focused on the Bulldogs or the SNY gangs like the 2-5ers, or they're focused on the Northern Riders. They're focused on that. But if they're integrating people, they're also integrating chomos, sex offenders. They're integrating PC cases, righteous PC cases. They're integrating people that told or testified against people. And you don't never hear about them getting ran up on or getting ran off the yard. You more hear about the gang membership, the gang stuff. More people are focused on getting the Bulldogs off the yard rather than the chomo off the yard. Think about it, right? Now, that's because there's a threat there. Because they know if these guys establish, they start to accumulate numbers, they're the type of adversary that are willing to go to the end. They're brown, man. Okay, one thing about the Mexican in prison period is they're willing to go all the way to the fullest. And that's every group, not just Mexicans, blacks, whites. In California system, everybody's going to go all out. I respect everybody's get down because I've seen everybody's get down in real life in HD. I'm going to tell you right now, one group is not harder than the next group. Every group is equal, but at the same time, there are just those you have to worry about just a little bit more. And the Mexicans are the top of that food chain when it comes to that because the knife play is real. Let's just keep it on. Let's be honest here, right? No sugarcoating. Now with the Fresno Bulldogs, I believe that's why they're hated so much. As far as the Southsiders hating them, well, they've been enemigas for a long time. See, when they were part of the Norteño group, the Bulldogs, then automatically the Southsiders were like, they're dangerous because you always got to understand, Fresno and San Jose were always the deepest car within the Norteño cause. Whatever yard you went to, the majority was going to be homeboys from San Jose and homeboys from Fresno. That's a fact. That's why they had their own little friction and animosity amongst each other. San Jose Sharks, Fresno Bulldogs. Even when they were active Norteños still functioning under the same fucking umbrella and everything was good, there was always tension. Believe me, from young to old, I seen it. When I was young, I'd hit a yard, there'd be like 6, 7 homeboys from San Jose, 4 or 5 homeboys from Fresno, or vice versa. And they always were in different ranflas. They didn't eat with each other, or there was a little spite, a little envy. It always was like that, whether it be on the San Jose side or the Fresno side. It went both ways, man. And that's because they were two of the biggest cities in Northern California, Central and Northern California. And when you're the two deepest groups, you want to maintain that superiority, that number one, right? And San Jose has always been a hub. San Jose has always been recognized as a norteño city. And Fresno at that time, the F-14ers were a pretty strong group, you know. And if you ask a lot of the Southsiders that were in the youth authority and did time back in them days, they'll tell you that Fresno car was dangerous. They were vicious, man. It was something in the water. They had knockout artists. They were out there doing their thing. So the Southsiders have always been dealing with them guys behind the walls or in the youth authority for years. So they seen Bulldogs, and some of them still continue to do, as Vatos from up north. Now, the Bulldogs now that we see, compared to the F-14ers and the ones I dealt with, are a whole different style, a whole different animal, okay? They're bully dogs. They're exotic bullies, right? They're not just pit bulls like you, or bulldogs like it was back in our days. You know, with the F-14ers, like I said, they were homies. They rocked just like a norteño. You couldn't tell the difference because there was no difference. They were Northerners. They functioned just like it, the same. And norteños recognized that and said, hey, Holmes, these Vatos are a threat. They know our rules. They know our regulations. Just like a head coach from a football team, if he goes to another team, it's like when John Gruden went from fucking the Raiders to the Bucks. He knew their whole game plan. Well, it's the same thing with the Bulldogs. They knew the norteños' game plan because they functioned for so long as norteños, if not the deepest. So, bam, when they went, it was like, damn, Holmes, we got to eradicate these Vatos. These Vatos know what it is. They know what it is to function as a homeboy at a high and elite level. Now, the Southsiders know this as well. And so a lot of them see the Bulldogs still as norteños. You know, but it's not like that. They're different now. They've changed. See, this generation, all the F-14ers are gone. The ones that are now getting out of prison are no longer involved. They're family guys. A lot of them are old school. Their views don't matter. The F-14, the old glory days, albeit it's respected in Fresno. A lot of Vatos know their history. Those that do, and they respect it. They don't acknowledge the F-14. They don't acknowledge the 14 part of it, the norteño ways. They come from a different era, an era where it's always been guerra. It's always been war with North and South, okay? They don't remember back in the days when there was a red light between the Southsiders and the Bulldogs when New Folsom or different prisons were able to function on yards with Southsiders. There was a time before they were segregated in their own places where they did, and they were on yards, okay? Now, as soon as the beef with the norteños started, it was always on. It was always on, and norteños would get placed on certain yards, northern structure, norteños back in them days, and Bulldogs would flight or vice versa. But it was a constant battle, and the Southsiders sat back and watched it. Why not? Two adversaries, two groups that are not part of their fold, man, going at it, eliminating each other off the yard. It was a win-win situation for them. Why not? That's why these guys were allowed to function on yards, because if a norteño or someone from the northern structure, or you know, someone who was structured up came, and we'll do a video on that later on, but someone from the structure came, the Bulldogs would flight, or he would take flight. So it was like the Southsiders were like, shit, you're doing our job for us. We ain't tripping. That's how it was. Now, over time, the Southsiders figured out, hey, Holmes, we don't need these Vatos on our yard. So they started to get off on them for whatever reason, whether there was a fucking argument or whatever. And then that's when CDC back in the days recognized that the Bulldogs were going at it with everyone. And I'm not going to say we're holding their own, but weren't bowing down. Bow, wow, wow. They didn't do that. That's not in them. They're brown, just like the rest of us. It's instilled in them. And so they started to segregate them onto their own yards. Are they the number one gang target in California? No. Okay? Bulldogs, you're right. Unless you go seeking for them or look or stumble upon a fucking pile of dog shit or whatever, you're not going to run into a Bulldog unless you're in the Fresno County area. You might see one at Great America or Disneyland or whatever. And it is what it is. It's just like you might stumble into a norteño at Disneyland, or vice versa. You might see a Southsider from LA. There's upstaters, but from LA at Great America. It's just like that. Life is life. You don't never know what you're gonna fucking fall into that day. I fell into a torta the other night, and it was like falling. It was like falling into the twilight zone. I know I was in, but I couldn't feel nothing. So either I'm lacking or she was packing. You know what I mean? It was like falling into a fucking bowl of fucking chocolate pudding. Only I didn't hear the because I didn't feel it. But I still did my thing. Anyways, so with the Bulldogs, man, you know, people always are like, oh, they're the number one target. They're the number one adversary. No, they're going to get flight ticket on them behind them walls until they conform, which Bulldogs won't, or the CDCR could figure out a method or a rhythm to get these guys together, maybe bring smaller groups out or whatever. It's always going to be funk. It's always going to be on because either the North, the South, or the Bulldogs are going to take flight. Period. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way they're laced up. It's just what they're going to do. Now, as far as, you know, them being the biggest threat, that's not the biggest threat to active gang members. You know, on the streets, the biggest threat to active gang members is themselves. You know, not being correctly laced, not functioning right. You know, I'm not going to lie, man. You know, I seen this beef, like, even with Little Weirdo and Lazy Boy, and respects to everyone, man, and they're doing their things, but I was shocked. I called the homeboy just yesterday. We were laughing and shit. He was like, you see these videos? What kind of shit is that? Shoes with 2 different colors and pants fucking spray painted on and shirts fucking with the sleeves up to here. I mean, just different things that I seen in 2 videos. And I seen, and you know what tripped me out was, I seen in the video from down south, which people are saying that's representing Southern California. I don't know if Little Weirdo is a representative of the Sur or whatever. I don't know his business, but more vatos were flamed up in that video than they were in the other one, right? In the Lazy Boy video. I'm seeing people pick sides, you know, calling Lazy Boy Lady Boy and mentioning transgenders and all kinds of things. And I mean, they're taking low blows, man. What happened to the gangster days? The days where fuck you, homie, fuck you, fuck your dead homies. When I see you, it's on, and then boom, it was. On some real gang related shit. Nowadays, it's like, hey, you're sleeping with the trans, and hey, so let's get my nails are fucking, they're a fucking, high, you know, they're pinker than yours, and it's just different. It's different. Things have changed. I'm upping the pole. Yeah, you're upping a chorra too. It's just things have changed, and I'm not disrespecting these guys. I'm just tripping out on it, you know. I guess I don't have to adapt to it because I'm no longer in that life, but just to sit back and watch it, it's hilarious to me. But I respect the shag, you know. So now with the Bulldogs, that younger generation, the newer generation, people are like, oh, they're wild. They're against the grain. Bulldogs have always been like that. Even when they were Norteños, they were always just a little different. They always had that I didn't give a fuck attitude. They were always fucking rebellious and against the grain on some shit. It's just the way it was. You had to know, doing time and dealing with Fresno Bulldogs, they were a little rowdy, humps. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why they gained the respect, but they would handle their business. You know, people are like, they're the number one target because they see YouTube and they see them getting jumped on. They're not the number one target. The number one target are the non-active gangs, the SNY, the non-actives that are posing a threat and starting to become, or if not, are deeper than active gang members now and are able to still blend in and manipulate and trick and do chameleon shit to trick actives. You know, you don't know nowadays. People are all, oh, I'm fucking still hard and this and that. Man, believe me, half the people that you're walking amongst or you're around, bro, are dropouts or non-actives or whatever, man. That's your biggest threat. The biggest threat is not what you see, but it's what you don't. That's truth and facts. That's the art of war. Always stay aware. That's why you're taught awareness, man. Figure out things because these are the guys that pose a threat. But hey, look, when it comes to the gang life, all the gang shit, man, is starting to become frivolous to me. You know, it's a utilization. You're being utilized to push an agenda. It's becoming this fucking 2024, bro. Let's get money and let's get that. You know, and all this, who's harder, who's the number one target, who's the number one enemy. I'm going to up the pole, fucking, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to kill some shit and there's a bluebird on my shoulder and all this fucking, you know what I'm saying? You know, meet me in Bakersfield and I'm going to tell you right now, don't, Little Weirdo or fucking Lazy Boy, don't none of you motherfuckers go to Bakersfield because them vatos and bakers don't play. They're going to be like, Boti vatos, get over here, right? I'm telling you, Bakers 13, and I've been to fucking Bakersfield. I'm telling you, them vatos from Bakersfield, they're another group in the system that hold grudges that are deep. I remember, man, Bakersfield from the 805. I know they're, what are they, 661 now? Back in the days, they were 805. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, Bakersfield were deep. They were deep. And they didn't fuck around. So, you know, and I hear people, oh, there's Norteños in Bakersfield. I've never seen them. I wasn't around back in them days when they were around. Maybe they were around back in the early 80s. But I've never seen it, okay? If there is now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Anyways, back to the Fresno Bulldogs. People thinking they're the number one target and everybody hates them. Everybody does hate them. No one hates on them. Don't get it twisted. There is no hating on a group that people feel just have to be confined or stay to their own. Okay? But in the system, in the California system, they are a hated group. Yes, they are a target. They are a priority. And it's not a priority because people think they're trash or garbage. They're a priority because they pose a threat. You know, you hear about, oh man, the North and South clicked up and got off on the Dogs because it's blowing everyone's mind. A month later, North and South are going at it on wax, banging on, you know, on the internet. But truth of the matter is, if the Bulldogs were nothing, then they'd be functioning right there, you know. But like I said, we don't hear about those chomos and shit getting hit. You only hear about major prison groups and security threat groups and shit. And it's the truth, you know. Do I think Bulldogs are going to be able to sustain and eventually make it out to them yards? We'll see, man. We'll see. To be totally honest with you, I'll be cut and dry. Every other group besides the Southsiders, when we're talking Mexicans here, Paisas, Norteños, Northerners, you know, and Bulldogs. The only reason they're able to establish or even on those yards is because the Southsiders allow it. I'm not fucking trying to fucking sugarcoat nothing and saying that the homeboys and Norteños ain't about the business. They are. They fought hard for what they've established. They planted their flags in certain areas and they've had to overcome struggle and forever forward and do all that. But hey, I'm going to be honest with you, as someone that did half his time in jail and prison, in the youth authorities, everything, right? The Southsiders are the deepest on every fucking yard, homes. Unless it's a northern stronghold yard that the administration makes it that way. But the administration can flip it just like that. You could have 50, 60, 100 homeboys on the yard, and tomorrow they could ship fucking 40 of them out and bring 40 Southsiders. The Southerners are the deepest car, meaning with numbers comes power and control. And the only reason that Norteños and other groups are allowed to be on these yards is because the Southsiders have decided, you know, they're going to function that way. But if they decided throughout the state of California, hey, we don't want none of these guys to walk the yard, they'll just shoot waves. They're deep too. And it's not that they're harder, they're punking anyone. It has nothing to do with that. People that think like that bump their head. Every man is about the business, right? You are or you aren't. That's it. You are or you ain't. But in truth and in life, it's only because that group allows people to function. Because at any given time, they could just take flight and it'd be a wrap. You know, they could fucking keep taking flight to eventually the CDCR says, you know, we're going to do the same thing we did with the Bulldogs, put the Northerners, segregate them in their own yards too. It's happened before and it can happen again. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, instead of focusing on other Mexicans and raza and why they can't walk the yards because of fucking things that happened way in the past before you were ever incarcerated. You know, I hear dudes, man, I'm Bulldog killer all day. It's like, bro, have you ever seen one in real life? Hell no, homes, because they stay in Fresno. Well, you stay in Merced, bro. You know what I mean? Well, what's the difference? I ain't trying to go down there. Fuck them. Just like Lefty Gunplay. Man, you know, when I ain't going up north, I'm down here. Exactly. So why are you tripping off them? You know, it's if you're not going to go there and you're already saying, hey, that ain't my land, I ain't going there, then don't talk about it. Ignore it, right? I got to respect Lefty Gunplay. I did see an interview he did yesterday where they were trying to bait him into it and ask him about the north. And he says, hey, man, more power to those guys. I hope they come up. I apologize for what I said. You know, and not like an apology, like, oh, I'm scared, but more so like he's like, man, I'm about my money. He's on some next level shit, man. I respect that. Anyways, that's my take on the Fresno Bulldogs. You know, I could tell you a lot of stories. You know, in the youth authority, the first true stabbing I seen involved the Bulldogs. They put a dude in a wheelchair for a year. They almost killed him. They had to meta-flight him out of there. They slaughtered him, butchered him. I've told the story in the past. Again, you know, I remember being settled with a Bulldog. Him tattooing a 14 over my eye, me tattooing a F14 on his eye. And this was my road dog, man, my homie. And politics will change a man. You know, we went from being close and riding, homes, getting off in the school area and handling our business. And knew we were on a one-way ticket to prison, to me seeing him in a different institution and having to go against him. You know, that was a hard thing to do. Anyways, with that being said, no, the Bulldogs are not the number one target. The number one target is whoever's in front of you, you know. But, you know, these youngsters are different, man. They're rebellious. They're renegades. People don't see it that way. A lot of people want to talk about it rather than be about it. With that being said, I hope that you move with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming, and remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. You already know what it is. Hey, we got some super duper shit popping off this afternoon. Make sure you tap in. This is the gun. Bang, bang. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears this Lakers crown. Show! Right? Orderly Lakers! Get rid of LeBron. Then maybe we can win. Bang, bang.